Caryn, you're here.
I'm here. I made it.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to see you too.
We met,
Are you going to
yeah,
tell the story?
you tell.
We met at a wellness event out in LA, and I was speaking on a panel, and you heard me speak, right?
Yes,
We met at
yes,
our bond booth
yes.
afterwards, but you got to hear me speak on a panel, and then you came up to me and you were like, "You're the most perfect, amazing, beautiful woman I've ever met. Please come on my podcast." I was like, yes.
Yeah, how could you say no to that? See, I know what I'm doing. Well, it was funny because when your panel ended, I was with my good friend Molly, who is an incredible therapist specializing in perinatal and postpartum therapy. And she had also seen your panel. And she was like, I want you to. And I was like, I can't talk. I got to go find someone. And she's like, well, is it Caryn? And I was like, it's Caryn. And she also was like, this is a perfect person for your podcast because your story is compelling and different. And I love your product. And those are the kinds of stories I love to tell.
Well,
So,
thank you for saying that.
yeah. And, we'll get to it, but there's an autoimmune component to your story, which I really want to
Hmm.
get into. And we don't talk about it that much on this show. And we'll get there. So why don't we start with how your company came to be? Because I think going from there and working backwards will explain a lot of the story.
Okay, sure. So I started Bond. Well, I am the former chief marketing officer of Vital Proteins, which is that blue tub collagen
That everyone has.
ingestible. Yeah, everyone's
Good
ingesting. It's
job.
unflavored, tasteless. Yeah. So I was employee number 5 there.
Amazing.
And I had the opportunity to really grow that company until it was acquired by Nestle Health Sciences. And as while I was there, and I came from more of the beauty fashion space. So I haven't really been ingrained in the health and wellness space my whole life. I didn't actually think I would end up kind of on this side of things. But what ended up happening to me at Vital Proteins is the company started taking off and doing really, really well. And we were starting to see so much success. But in my personal life, I started my fertility journey, and my husband and I were just having a terrible time trying to get pregnant. And I ended up uncovering there that I am autoimmune infertile, which basically means that my immune system is working in overdrive to protect my body, but at the same time, it is taking out pregnancies because the way that my immune system has modulated is no longer normal, meaning that it does not understand or compute that blastocysts or embryos are supposed to be in my body and that I want them there. So at Vital Proteins, I really found out I have this issue, and we'll get into what that means on a deeper level, I'm sure. But um, it wasn't until after that I really had it on my heart that the research just wasn't being brought forward to women, and there just wasn't enough of a resource center, even the education to support women's health, starting with some of the foundational systems in their bodies that aren't just their reproductive system. So your immune system, your metabolic system, and your endocrine system, which then controls your hormone levels. Concentrating on some of those areas actually impact your fertility in such an unbelievable way. So it was this huge experience that happened to me, and then just the overall sense of purpose that I had to go out and start this brand so that I could bring support to other women, and hopefully they don't run into some of the same issues that I did in trying to conceive. So Bond is 5 months old, and
Oh my God, I didn't
we
realize it was that baby.
oh yeah, it's a
Amazing.
baby. Yeah.
Okay.
It's been so exciting though, because the reception has just been so positive,
Yeah.
and I already have 10 babies baking. So yeah, so I'm gonna have my first Bond baby alive on Earth soon, which is like just my purpose coming to life.
Yeah.
And yeah, anyway, that's the crux of it.
Okay. And I just want to digest for people when you say your body was your immune system was in overdrive, and therefore, so I feel like we've seen this in pop culture, right? A lot of times on TV, like I remember in Sex and the City when Charlotte was first having trouble conceiving, she's like, my body is literally rejecting, his sperm, his whatever it is. Your body is protecting you because your immune
Mhm.
system's like, I got this. And it's taking anything foreign that comes into it and being like, bye bye, and shooting it out. And therefore, your body cannot receive an embryo. Your embryo will not implant. That is what we're talking about when we talk about autoimmune infertile, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, how did you discover this?
Sure. So I didn't discover it at first. At first, what happened to me was we couldn't get pregnant. And at the time, I was having digestive issues. So, waking up pretty early in the morning with sharp stomach pains, which are part of my problem to this day, but was one of the first big red flags of what's really going on here for me. So, after about a year of conception, we went to the doctor as per like what everybody does, right? 12 months in, you go to your doctor, you get your IUI protocol. We did 4 IUIs, beautiful, big eggs, nothing, no pregnancy test. Keep in mind, I've never been pregnant on my own. So
Mhm.
I've never had that experience of just being like, oh, I might be pregnant. Let's take a test. I've
Mhm.
taken a million tests. I've never seen a line.
Mhm.
So we got progressed to IVF at that point. And when I started the process of IVF, it was really exciting because they were like, you're perfect for
Mhm.
this. You don't have an issue with your reproductive system. Your tubes are open. They pulled 30 eggs out of me for one egg retrieval, which is probably a bit too many, but I had a really successful egg retrieval. Everything genetically met, kind of the standards or the percentages of success that they put out there. So there were no signs that there was an issue. When I started then taking those embryos and going through implantations, that's when I started getting pregnant, but only for small increments of time. So the one pregnancy that was super alarming to me, they said I had only been pregnant for 2 hours.
Oh my
And just
gosh.
to hear that small window of time, it just is super overwhelming. Like, what? How could I have only been pregnant for 2 hours? What's happening in 2 hours
I
that
can't
my
believe that
body
they
is
can
not
even
sustaining?
market at that specific
Right?
time increment.
I
Yeah,
don't even,
that's amazing.
they must have said that based on the range of HCG because it was
Sure.
so low. But
Right.
um, yeah, so I wasn't sustaining the pregnancies. And really at that point, that's where you get hit with like your first moral crises. Like, do you believe these people or is your body telling you otherwise? And for me, I just felt that I wasn't going to be the person to wait until the fifth loss to do a recurrent miscarriage panel. I wasn't going to accept an answer that the odds were just against me because at that point, like that was really the only answer I had. And in my mind, it's like, how could the odds be against me that much when there's no actual reason for it? So, what ended up happening was I started doing research on my own. And this was 2016, 2017. So I pulled a book off the World Wide Web, not Amazon. It wasn't even on Amazon. 800 pages written by Dr. Alan Beer. Is your body baby friendly?
Mhm.
Read the whole thing front to back, absorbed the knowledge, learned, right? All of these different phrases, all of these different immunological definitions, things to try to understand, and ended the book just feeling like, oh, someone finally understands that I might potentially have an issue that's outside of my reproductive system, but that is in fact affecting it. So at the end of the book, there are, or were at that time, 3 recommendations of practitioners that practice reproductive immunology, which is the field. One of them, Dr. Joanne Kwok Kim, lives only or practices only 40 minutes from my house. So it felt like almost a miracle because 3 facilities in the United States, Dr. Alan Beer is no longer living.
Mm.
And one of them is conveniently 40 minutes in my backyard. So I went over to her facility to be treated. I was put on a wait list for 6 months. I ended up getting moved up on the wait list and in before my next cycle of IVF. And they took my blood, and about 48 hours later, they called and said, you should cancel IVF. You have the highest level of anti-nuclear antibodies that we can see. We can't even track higher than this level. So we don't even really know.
Mm.
And just for someone to solidify things that I had only read in a book was just so impactful and important to me, where I feel like I finally unlocked my first answer. But I had been stimming on all sorts of hormones to prepare for IVF. And I just wasn't sure, should I take their advice and not do it? Should I take their advice and do it? What do I do in this scenario? And ultimately decided to still go through with the IVF.
Hold on, let me just clarify one thing. You were about to start another retrieval cycle?
I was in a retrieval cycle when I
In a
got into
retrieval.
her clinic.
So at some point, I want to go back and talk about what happened with your 30 eggs from round one, but we'll get there.
Okay. Okay. Some of them are still with me in a freezer since you asked.
Okay. So, because my question was like, I always feel like the autoimmune protocol is more for transfer. So curious what she was like, what her opinion was, why you shouldn't retrieve. Was it just because they wanted to get this problem under control?
Yeah. So
Okay.
because they had seen my antibody levels and some other pieces of my blood work, they knew that there was a very high likelihood that this pregnancy wouldn't be a success.
Mm-hmm.
So it was their recommendation to back off of it, get all of my levels into the most normal place possible, and then move forward with trying.
Okay.
I did not take their advice. I went through with the transfer because I was 2 to 3 weeks already on hormone injections.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind is different, your body is different, you're in a different place. And I just felt like I'm not going to just stop where I'm at now. I'm going to do this. So I went through with that, and the people in the world of reproductive immunology helped me in that scenario. So I started doing blood transfusions called IVIG or infusions.
Yep.
Yeah. So I started that right away and went on a series of medication to help control my immune system. So they were basically starting my protocol a week before I went into pregnancy, which is not their recommendation, but they still supported my judgment call and started treating me with those super intense blood infusions. I ended up getting pregnant. So I found out 2 weeks later that I was pregnant. We had implanted 2 embryos, a boy and a girl. And it was really exciting because I was pregnant, equally scary because they were all telling me, like, these babies aren't going to survive. Your levels are all over the place. And anyway, it was a very scary time, but I did get pregnant on the protocol. My son is 5 years old now, but what ended up happening was my daughter ended up being a vanishing twin pregnancy, which means it gets reabsorbed back into your body after her heartbeat stopped. So essentially my body took over one of the two pregnancies, but I was able to bring my son earthside. At 35 weeks, my water broke. So followed a whole immune protocol, mourned my daughter while carrying my son. Thank you for saying that. And just got through it the best I could. But yeah, ultimately just feel like nobody even knows this category of autoimmune is so reactive in the world of fertility. And I feel like the knowledge is still so sparse that we're almost treating this category of unexplained infertility as like a closed door. Like, oh yeah, you have unexplained infertility, like as if it's its own diagnosis, when My assumptions and from my research, like there's a huge percentage of that unexplained infertility stemming from autoimmune, stemming from issues in the microbiome, et cetera. It's just not being correlated for people.
Totally. And there are doctors out there who don't believe that there is any unexplained infertility. You might not ever get to the bottom of it, but there's always a reason. I
Yeah.
also was an unexplained infertility. And to this day, I don't know what it was. I did not test positive for any of the autoimmune issues, but I did do the autoimmune protocol because my doctor was just like, I don't know what else to do. Let's just try it.
Yeah.
And in my successful pregnancy, I had also done IVIG infusions, all of the autoimmune protocol meds, but I had also done it for two transfers before that that did not work. So it's unclear if that was the thing or my body just needed a little bit of time to be on those drugs in order to carry and sustain the pregnancy. I will never know. Um,
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting.
isn't it? And my
Third
doctor,
round,
oh no, eighth round.
eighth round.
Third round with autoimmune protocol, eighth round total. I was
Okay.
my eighth with my lucky. Um, but also I had sustained losses and they just were never implanting. And
Mm-hmm.
my doctor was very open to this idea. And she was really one of the only ones that my kids are also, I have twins, they're also 5. So right around the same time as you. And she was
Yeah.
like, there's no evidence that this is going to work and there's just not enough research on it, but let's just try it, which I really appreciated. Because she's like, for the most
Right.
part, it can't harm you. You know, there was like a 1% chance on prednisone that the baby would have a cleft palate or something. And I was like, I don't care. Um,
Yeah.
so point being that like I do appreciate that if there is no diagnosis, trying something that doesn't necessarily harm you because look at us, it worked. I mean, for you, you had the diagnosis, but I just find it really fascinating, you know?
Yeah. Wow. I'm really excited to be speaking with you now that I know you did IVIG
Oh
and
yeah.
your own protocol. What
And what's
drugs did they
great,
put you on?
prednisone, Claritin, Pepsid,
Mm-hmm.
Lovenox,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then the other, like the regulars, progesterone, estrogen. I feel like there's one I'm missing. Am I missing one? What did they put you on?
So I go on similar drugs to what like a organ transplant patient would go on.
Oh my God.
So tacrolimus, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Okay.
And then Plaquenil or hydroxychloroquine.
Okay.
So immunosuppressants in a way.
So mine were
But
basically
also, I do prednisone as well, but prednisone is a terrible drug,
the worst.
literally the worst drug.
I know. I know. Well, have you ever done Lovenox?
Hmm.
Because I think Lovenox is the worst drug. I mean, the worst shot to give, not necessarily the worst drug. Prednisone, it's like a combination of cocaine. Not I've never done cocaine, but what I imagine cocaine to be, and like the most depressant you can imagine. And it's like you don't know at which point of the day you're going to get which effect. Like there would be times at 2 a.m. I'd be like, I need to dust my baseboards and I'm going to be up for 3 hours doing it. And then the next day I would be so depressed and tired and puffy and
Yeah,
irritable. And, you know, it's like you don't know what's going to hit when. It was the craziest.
I know. Prednisone is like the one drug I cannot tolerate. I
Yeah.
went like mentally deranged on it.
Yeah. It's
That is a
really
fair
nuts.
warning for
Yeah.
anyone that has to do a corticosteroid because that is intense,
Yeah.
but part of the protocol.
Part of the protocol and it worked. So I was like, who cares?
Hmm.
And your diagnosis, I'm sure, led to those specific, much more intense drugs. For me, this was like, let's just see if we can get it under control with these low level, some over the counter immunosuppressants, nothing major. So I don't know. And
Yeah.
I never saw a reproductive immunologist. And I know still to this day, there are 3, right? Or maybe even 4 now. I think it's like one in Chicago, one in San Francisco, one in New York, and one in Florida. I think that's it.
Hmm.
Um, and
And one in
so
Detroit.
was there one in Detroit? So what happens with clients of mine or patients or people who we know in this community, they have to wait that 6 months. And usually, like you
They have
were,
to wait it.
they have to wait it out and they're already on the journey and they're already really annoyed that it's not happening. And it's just such a time suck. So I think a lot of times they move forward with treatment anyway, kind of like you did, which I admire and appreciate and would have done the same thing every minute you're not pregnant in this journey feels like a lifetime. So you're like, I'm not going to wait
Right.
6, right? And then do treatment. You're like, I want
And
to
like
move
so
forward.
much unknown because you're
So much
getting
unknown.
so many opinions. And
Right.
like half of them are like, what is this? This isn't even
Right.
a studied form of medicine yet, they'll say, which is actually not true. But
How did your doctor at your clinic receive the diagnosis and the information?
they just said, we don't believe in this, but we will treat you alongside of it.
Okay.
We've had other patients that have gone down this road and we will treat you alongside of it.
Okay. That's all they needed to do. And it worked.
Yeah.
Woof. Okay. So baby boy comes, and I know you had a second at some point. So tell me, once you gave birth the first time, did you have to alter anything in your life in terms of this new diagnosis?
No, so the way that it operates within my system, and I have antibodies for both Hashimoto's and lupus. So, but the way that my body operates, and I think that a lot of women's body operate, are that it lies dormant until I go into a pregnancy or a big hormonal shift state. And I don't have I have digestive issues, which I've done a lot of work on separately, but I don't have other outward signs of having lupus or having Hashimoto's. I function as a very healthy individual on the day to day. So it's hard to it's hard to fully understand it because I don't live with it. I don't get rashes. I don't sleep 20 hours a day. I don't have, swollen joints and all of these things. And I think that's part of like why it was hard to understand or interpret because you're not like necessarily seeing signs that could be a signal of truth to you. You're just taking kind of these results word for it.
Mm, mm. Okay. So you didn't have, so once you gave birth, you didn't have to do anything until you decided you wanted to try again.
Sorry.
That's okay. Drink break, obviously. I'm going to take one too.
One short slice, just for the drink.
It's all good.
Wait, what are you drinking?
Honestly, iced coffee, and I am not a coffee drinker, but I just needed a boost today.
Yeah.
And my husband made it for me. And it's actually delicious. But
Oh,
like, I
that's a
hate the
nice husband.
aftertaste. Yeah. He's home recovering from surgery. This will also be edited out. As long as we cut, as long as we stop. And he feels terrible because I've been taking amazing care of him and he hasn't been able to do very much. So he was like, please, I can make you a coffee. Please take it. So I was like, fine, I'll drink the coffee, but it's actually pretty good.
Oh, what a
Yeah,
good husband.
he's a good husband.
Um, anyway, so to answer your question, I'll restate it as a full
Yes,
sentence here.
perfect.
When I went into when after I got pregnant and gave birth to Elijah, my immune state went back to normal. So I didn't have any other issues. And we waited about a year and then decided we wanted to try again. And that's when I kicked back up my autoimmune program so that I could go into my next pregnancy feeling more level and having my levels actually balanced out. So bringing my ANA down to as baseline as it gets because ANA stays in your blood, right? So that's a modulation I carry forever. But getting my immune system into a normal place, working with my diet, working with nutrition, etc. We went to get pregnant again when he was about 14 months old. And at that, after I had balanced my system out, went through the IVF again, got pregnant again, and about 7 weeks started bleeding. So, another symptom of autoimmune infertility are hematomas that happen around the sac in the body. And I have been blessed with a lot of them.
Mm,
So, in every one of my pregnancies that carried an embryo, I've had almost an equal sized hematoma, like putting the pregnancy at risk. In this pregnancy that we're talking about now, it was until she was 8 weeks older. 8 weeks gestation, bigger than her sac.
Mm.
So again, we thought, oh, not sure if this is going to work out, because if that hematoma starts bleeding out, it's going to take the embryo with it. And I was put on an immediate bed rest. So in both of my pregnancies, I was basically on a use the restroom only bed rest, to keep my
Oof.
system as, yeah,
It's hard.
as baseline as possible. But I went on bed rest pretty early with her, and 12 weeks rolled by. I was still pregnant, still bleeding, hematomas, autoimmune issues. We made it to the 12-week mark, and everyone was feeling more confident. But at 13 weeks, my water broke, which is another symptom of autoimmune, breaking of the bag. So with my son, it's what happened, but it happened at 35 weeks when he could stay alive. With my daughter, it happened at 13 weeks. So I went into full labor at 13 weeks gestation. Yeah. So I delivered a otherwise healthy, could have grown baby girl, which
Hmm.
was, yeah, brutal, terrible.
Oh,
One
I'm
of the
so
worst
sorry.
experiences of my life, right? Knowing that it was
You
my
had to
body that,
deliver.
well, I
You
had a
had you
DNC.
had a
Yeah.
DNC. Okay. I was like, at 13 weeks, I can't even. Okay. Not that a
Once my
DNC is like, oh,
water,
great, you had a DNC instead. It's still horrible,
I know.
but I'm glad that that was an option for you.
Yeah, I got the DNC about 24 hours later because my mental health was so low. I just couldn't imagine the birth,
Yeah.
you know, and living through that. So, yeah, so that was my daughter that I lost. And
Sorry.
it was a really wacky, sad time, but I do have a living daughter now. She is the result of a surrogate. So we progressed and got a
I did not
surrogate.
know that. Oh girl, this
Yeah.
is a real humdinger of a story
Yeah,
here.
this is a
And
ride.
so mentally, emotionally, were you just like, I can't go through this anymore? My body's done.
Yeah, at that point my life was different. I had this all happened in January. So in January, I lost her. My mom came to town, helped, and I have a wonderful, amazing husband as well, but they helped me kind of reset. March, we put the company basically up for sale, which means that I was on a stage to acquirers trying to get the company sold. A week later, COVID shut everything down. It was so many things that I just knew that if I could put the pregnancy in somebody else's body, but have a baby at the end of the day, that would be the best thing for our family and for like our mental wellness as well. Surrogacy is not just like checking out from a pregnancy, though. There are definitely pits to doing surrogacy versus carrying in your own body, which I know now. But at the time, it was definitely the right thing for our family. And we have a beautiful daughter, Ruthie, who's 2, almost 3,
I
to
love
say
the
for it.
names.
So
I love the names of your living children. Ruthie and
thank
Elijah are
you.
so beautiful. So, do you think you might have felt differently if you hadn't experienced a full pregnancy? Or do you think that either way, it doesn't really matter because woulda, shoulda, coulda, you got the best outcome here? But I think when people are making the decision to potentially move over to surrogacy, it feels very like they really have to mourn the loss of what did not happen to their body. Do you think that would
Yeah.
have played in for you?
Yeah, that's so interesting because I had the experience in my body, but it wasn't the experience that I wanted. I lived every day of that pregnancy waiting for it to end in a spiral of negativity. I didn't have a baby shower. I didn't tell anyone I was pregnant until they noticed. I didn't talk. Like it was a terrible, fearful time. And while it was interesting to feel like the changes of your body and like feel the kicks and have that connection, I guess I just felt like the surrogacy was I felt like the surrogacy at the end of the day, the baby that you have is really what you remember versus like the overarching experience of it. And I knew at the end of the day, like 5 years down the road, I wouldn't even remember like who was born via surrogate, who was born via me, know, X, Y, or Z. Like family's family and love is love. So yeah, I don't know if I would have gone to surrogacy though if I hadn't carried. I mean, that's a good morality, like moral question. I don't know because it is overwhelming to walk a road of surrogacy, especially if you haven't had a baby, gone through some of the things that I did.
Mm. And do you still have a relationship with your gestational carrier?
Yes. I
She
love
look
when
was
people
she,
ask me
yeah,
this
I think
because,
this is the most fascinating piece of the whole thing, the way that these families become family in a very different
yeah,
way, you know?
yeah, her name is Ashley, and she is like a sister. She's like family to me. I went into the surrogacy like very much like we're going to treat her as an extension of our family because that's what she is versus a business arrangement.
Yeah.
And that's just who I am as a person. But I would encourage everyone who's kind of walking the path of surrogacy to think like that because the person carrying your baby, like when they deliver your baby, they're still connected to that baby too. And to strip them of that relationship also doesn't feel like the right way to carry a surrogacy forward. So, Ashley and I had a wonderful pregnancy. Again, and it was COVID. So I didn't even get to go to the appointments. I mean, I called in to like a couple, but she was just so easy. The process was nice and easy for us. And she did it out of love. So she did it out of love and love for God and love for other people. And that also made it feel really special.
Mm.
She wasn't counting the dollars at the end of every week. Like, what did
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
make off of this job that I have? And since Ruth has been born, we've been visiting back and forth, less and less as times get more busy for us as a family, but always will consider her just a sister.
I love that. I think gestational carriers are a different specimen of human. Like they are
You're so
elevated to
generous.
a different level. And even for those who do need the money, like to put yourself through all of that for money, you're still an elevated angel of a human. It's like the
Definitely.
most generous thing. Okay, so let's move into so you experienced this. When did bond hit your mind?
So I had Ruthie and I looked at her and I just felt like I have everything. I have this boy and this girl that might have only been in my dreams for like 7, 8 years of infertility, really. And ultimately, I just felt that how I felt before was my purpose was to get these children here, to be a good mother, to love them. It's not my only purpose. Like, my purpose is to help other people, other women. There are also, they're a conduit of that. So they're the reason that I realized that. And having them here, I feel like almost amplifies like what I'm trying to do, the energy that I feel because I know the love so much. And I want that for women who want that for themselves. And I want to support women so they don't have to feel those deep depths of trauma that I had to. And we can get into more preventative infertility versus how rates are currently rising and the status of where our world is going right now.
I feel exactly the same way about my life and business, right? I never would want this on anyone else, but if you're going to make lemonade out of lemons, this is for sure my meaning in life. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So tell us about Bond. First of all,
Sure.
it's we're going to show clips of you at some point on social media and you'll see this beautiful grassy like farmland behind you. So tell us where you are.
I'm in Tennessee. So I live in Chicago. I'm in Tennessee, which is where we built our manufacturing facility, where we manufacture Bond. And I think that's a really interesting aspect of it. So Bond is a supplement brand for hormone health and reproductive cycles. So supplement powders and capsules, although Daily Balance and Cycle Care are two best sellers, they're drinks.
And they're
So,
delicious.
and they come as powders.
They're
Thank
so
you.
good. Yes. You had, when we met at this wellness event, they had like, vats of them for samples. And I kept going back for like a reset during the day. I'm
I
like, I
know.
need a little more of that drink. It's so good.
I know I should start selling into like smoothie places, like sell a hormone drink for $5.
1000%. You get an immunity shot. Why not get a hormone balance shot added?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so the products are on so the products are drinkables for the most part, and everything's manufactured here in Tennessee because at Vital Proteins we did our own manufacturing. We didn't bring in a co-man, which on the business side of things helps a lot with cost of product. So we're able to make products that have really efficacious ingredients, top of the line bioavailability, Daily Balance being an all in one without incurring extra costs to have somebody else manufacture. So it's been a way throughout my career in supplements for us to keep product margins in a good place for the brand. When we went to start Bond, we wanted the same capability. So we built all of our manufacturing in house, which is here in Tennessee, so that we can control the quality of the entire process, testing, finished goods, etc. Which I think just helps us stand a little bit higher amongst other brands that are out there because with the FDA not really regulating supplements, you just don't know.
Hmm. I love it. And so how many products total does Bond have?
So we have 5 products right now.
Okay.
They all they're all for different hormone slash reproductive health issues. So cycle care is your go-to if your PMS is out of control. It helps to work through your hormone detox centers to remove excess hormones from your body. Super beneficial to all of us that are upcycling hormones, that have endo, PCOS, all of these hormonal issues that need additional support. Daily Balance, full multivitamin, all in one. So you're getting vitamins A through D3, you're getting fiber probiotics, and then additional nutrients that are supporting your reproductive cycles and your reproductive system. So inositol, NAC, omegas, etc. So that is a go-to, and it gives people like a nice boost of energy. And then we have conception products. So conception boost for her, which is for egg quality, and then vitality for him, which is for sperm support. And then last, we have an inositol product. Inositol is an incredible vitamin for ovarian support and the insulin levels that get produced by your ovaries. So, in a sense, it works to balance your blood sugar, but through the effect of your ovaries. So, you're getting more consistent ovulation, your cycle is becoming more normalized for you, so on and so forth. It's like one of the number one supplements that women are taking to regulate their cycle right now. And the research behind the ingredient is incredible. So
Mm,
we launched it as its own product. Um,
amazing.
yeah. So
And
that's
do
where
you
we're starting.
envision, you're starting there. Do you envision like a whole line, or do you feel like these are really everything the women need and men?
I think this is the baseline
Like the
system. We're
core.
definitely, we're definitely innovating, and I mean, this brand is going to climb the mountains. Like, I wanted to help so many people. So, I'm still in a state of like very heavy innovation, and I won't back off of that for a couple of years.
I love it. Okay, two quick things as we wrap up. One, why did you go for that second retrieval round after the 30 eggs from round one? You got the
Oh,
30 eggs, and then you got some embryos, and some of them are still around, but you did do a second retrieval, right?
I did do a second retrieval many years later because there were no female embryos.
Got it. Okay. Fair.
Is
1000%
it?
fair.
I don't know. Now I feel like a jerk.
No, I think everyone is entitled to the family that they dreamed of. Um,
Yeah.
and I will share with you that I don't think you know that part of my story is that my audience knows because I talk about it all the time, but that I had a reduction
Mm.
from 3 to 2. Because after all those failed transfers, I finally got pregnant with 3. It was insane.
How scared were you?
You know what? I wasn't scared at all. It was crazy. I felt more calm than I ever had because it had been 6 years, 8 cycles, so much money. And I was like, okay, if 3 are in there, I think I'm going to get one. So the
Yeah.
fact that I was able to carry to term and live birth
So
2,
you implanted 3
I transferred 3
and
and
then you
all 3
reduced
implant
one.
and I had to reduce. My doctor was like, I'm sorry, I can't, I never
How
thought
did
this was
you
gonna
just
work.
chose you
Well,
just
so
chose the
this is what I was
smallest
gonna
or slowest
say.
heartbeat or
No, I would have, but they all were performing beautifully. It was crazy. And so I just said to my doctors, I didn't know which one was which sex, but I was
yeah.
like, if you can give us one of each based on location and stuff, like that's my dream. And so that's what they did. So in some ways, I feel like I chose two. And I also feel like after everything I went through, I'm allowed to do that. And there's
Yeah.
no judgment in that no matter what. And I just think like just because we have a vision of what that I have a non-binary sibling, and so like they were assigned a certain sex at birth and they've chosen something else. Like we do what we think, and then that person is still going to be what they need to be in the world. And like I feel
Right.
so strongly that that third that I reduced was my angel that got me to my family. And so these were the two that I was supposed to have, and it was supposed to be a boy and a girl. Literally, when I was a child, I used to cheat at the game of life and put the boy and the girl twins in the backseat of the car and like drive off into sunset to win the game. So I'm like, if it took this long to get there and that's what it was meant to be, fine. So no judgments on you.
Yeah, I believe, well, I understand you for sure, but and they see a lot of that at my clinic actually,
Oh yeah,
like 4 or 5 that they have to reduce out.
I
And
know.
yeah, so it's pretty normalized,
Yeah.
I feel. But um we did the retrieval. I got girl embryos and then I pulled back and was like, no, I'm playing God. Like this, I shouldn't be doing this. Like I just put the healthiest one in, thought that the surrogate had a boy because the odds were so, I mean, I only have 2 girl embryos. One of them is now
Mm-hmm.
Ruth alive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So 2 against 12 boys, you just assume you're having a boy. So I thought we were having a Gabriel. We
Mm-hmm.
planned for a Gabriel. And then, yeah, she was actually a surprise, but in a great way because of all those embryos, it was her that was
Yeah.
actually the strongest of all
Yeah.
those boys. But
Yeah.
yeah, I, I did it and then I said no and then she was a girl, but yeah, that was my choice for doing it. I just have always really wanted to have a girl too.
I
But
same. We made a lot of boys too. And before we did the round that succeeded, I was like, I'm just not meant to have a daughter. And then this last round was our Hail Mary and I got my dream. So no judgments from me at all. Okay, last
wait, are they in
question.
kindergarten?
They're in TK in LA. They have this TK. It's called like it's like pre-K. So they'll be in
Okay,
kindergarten in September. TK, it's like not preschool, not kindergarten, but it's in an elementary school.
got
Is
it.
yours in kindergarten?
He's at kindergarten. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
When's his birthday?
June.
And he'll be 6.
Yeah.
Amazing. So mine turned 5 just in November. So they're like not even 5.5, a few months later. What is some cliche saying, phrase, piece of advice, something that you like to live by or share that you think about all the time?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's like super cliche though, but maybe for the better for everyone listening. I just feel like everything I learned, the number one is the answers are actually your answers. Like they're answers that you have inside of you, and everybody else is just a perspective for you to get to that place. I feel like we put doctors, people with opinions on a pedestal as like the only source of truth. And I just would encourage everybody like, it's 2024. Like, you're the source of truth. You're actually the one living in this body. Garner and get all of the perspectives that you can, but then take them with a grain of salt, not as your ultimate truth, and distill down what's going to make the most sense for you. Because ultimately, that's what's going to end up helping you out of where you're at. So
I love it. Not cliche at all. Didn't have to be. I just, some people
I
like a
just like wish
cliche.
18 years ago someone had been like, no, you have the answers. No,
Yeah.
you do. It's you. It's you. And
Yeah.
I would have gotten there faster, I think. But
Yeah. I think sometimes it requires lived experience of failure and mistakes to know it, even, I don't
yeah,
know.
you're right.
Right. We are going to link out to Bond. Caryn, thank you so much for being here. I adore you and your
You're
story.
welcome.
And I was right within 1 minute that you would be an amazing guest. And here you are.
It's been an honor. I am honored to be your favorite guest ever on the pod. So
You took the words
the
right out of my
most
mouth.
the most wonderful person you've ever met. Remember?
Thanks, Caryn.